This is an absolute labor of love. I love these two watches we're going to talk about here. And they're both inspired by events sort of that happened before the moonshot. So it's a couple of special Speedmasters that you might or might not decide to call MoonWatches when this is over. So you know I love the Speedmaster, especially the Speedmaster MoonWatch, the Speedmaster Professional, the 42 millimeter manual wind mechanical chronograph from Omega. And the thing about this watch that a lot of people, I'm sure, understand already, but you might not understand what the hype behind the watch is. The Speedy was really a racing watch before it had anything to do with NASA or the moon program. It's an archetype, it's a standard of the world. It's an ideal design that's distilled into simplicity. Now, this is just one of the most pure magical watches that's ever been out on the market. In Japan, Omega is #2 in the market. And so it's a really important market for Omega, but it's also really important to Japan. They love and treasure their Omega watches. And as a result of this love affair between Japan and Omega, they release a lot of special editions. One of the great things about the Speedmaster is due to its simple design, it's kind of ripe for special editions, limited editions. They can really release things that are just for the Japan market and really sort of help the Japanese fan understand that they realize the importance of the Japanese market and they're doing things special just for them. So when you look at the Japanese market, I'm a huge fan of all things Japanese. I love their food, culture, arts, everything about it. And even the landscape. I mean, send me to Japan and I'll be happy. I'll say that as a shout out to our CEO. Maybe he wants to send me there on a buying trip or something. But what's really popular in Japan is Western adventure watches. So things with backstories. We're talking about things like the Submariner, the Rolex Explorer, the Steve McQueen, the IWC Mark series chronographs, but especially the Speedmaster. They absolutely are nuts for the Speedmaster. And again, it started out as a racing watch, not as some sort of a moonshot watch. And it timed race cars way before there was ever a lunar mission. So in 2004, Omega came out with this beauty. And it's based on a racing model from the 1960s, before it was the MoonWatch. It was a watch that really the history of the Speedmaster, part of it is to attain extreme legibility. I mean, when you look at this one where you've got white hands against a black dial, it doesn't really get much more legible than that. But for the racing series, they really liked coming up with extra colors on the dials to really point out the differences between the chronograph hands and the backgrounds. So you see on this one, which again is a direct inspiration of a 1960s racing model, this one was released to the Japan market only in 2004. The word is that they only made 2,004 of them, so that's cool. And you can see around the edge, it has this checkerboard pattern of red and orange. It has orange at the ends of each hour marker. And then the chronograph hands themselves are bright orange against this dark gray background, really extremely legible. And so this JDM watch stands for Japanese Domestic Market. It's a reference 3750.40.00. And it's the same as other moon watches, other Omega Speedmaster Professionals. It's a 42 millimeter case. It's got the Hesalite crystal and the text on the back that talks about it being the first and only watch certified by NASA for space flight. And beating at its heart is that 1861 movement. It's a hand-wound mechanical with a standard setup chronograph, start, stop, and reset on the pushers. But what's amazing about this watch is there's so few of them made, only 2004. And as people noticed what a special watch it was, released only for the Japanese domestic market, that it has just taken off in value. Now this one is already sold. I actually talked to a guy on the phone about it yesterday, and he was so excited about it. He said that he's been after one of these for a long time. And when it popped up on our website, I think within about 30 minutes, he called us and was ready to buy it. He said that it was just finally time to pull the trigger because this was probably the nicest one he had ever seen. So you know who you are. Thank you for allowing us to hold on to it for one more day so I could shoot this video with your watch in the video. So your watch will be YouTube famous. So changing gears, and so to speak, to take a look at this one. This one is one of my all-time favorite Speedmasters as well. It is nicknamed the Tintin. And the reason it's called the Tintin, you might have some knowledge about this already, but it is an incredible watch. The story behind it is super cool. It's such an iconic watch on the world today that in 2019, Revolution magazine even wrote an article called "Could Tintin Be the Next Paul Newman?" So there are questions about this watch and its ability to continue to go up in price. It's right now selling in 2021 for about 4.5 times its original retail price in 2013. So it's less than 10 years old and it's already accelerated that much. Who knows where it'll go? I might be telling the story to my grandkids one day that I actually got to hold one of these in my hand. So it's that special. But the name Tintin, what it comes from is there was a series of comics. There were graphic novels that were written from 1929 to 1983 by a Belgian artist. His name was Hergé. And these comics, if you haven't seen them, they are just super influential. Both Liechtenstein and Warhol listed Hergé as among their biggest influences. They considered him a mentor for illustration. The comics have been translated into 70 languages. They've sold hundreds of millions of copies. It's been made into radio dramas, movies, television shows, theater productions, video games. It's a huge deal. So you should look into it if you're not familiar with it. But there was a 1950 edition of the comic that was called Destination Moon. And you know Penny is famous around here, and she is excited about this because she knows this 1950 comic, Destination Moon. It was 2 decades before Apollo 11, sort of a futuristic, future-telling. I mean, what you've got here is a fictional, whatever that word is. Yeah, fictional lunar explorer in this young character, Tintin. And he has a rocket ship that has this sort of extreme, cool-looking red and white paint scheme. So when Omega was coming up with all their ideas for special editions, they thought this would be a great idea to make a Tintin edition watch. And the original one at 11 o'clock was going to have a picture of Tintin's rocket with the red and white, and it would have on the back of the watch red text instead of the typical blue or black. And you can see this one has red text. Well, the negotiations with Hergé's estate apparently fell through, and they weren't able to ever make but one of those watches, and it's not allowed to be seen in public. So I don't have a picture of it. I've never seen it. I'm sure that one is absolutely priceless, but until that one sees the light of day, what we have as the Tintin was just nicknamed that at first from the red and white scheme, but Omega's head of product development, Jean-Claude Monachon, actually confirmed in an interview the existence of that one watch that featured the rocket, that this watch was intended to be a tribute to Tintin. And so the name has stuck, the desirability has skyrocketed, and it is now one of the most desirable Speedmasters there is out there. So again, the same 1861 movement, same case size, 42 millimeter, same hand wound, extreme visibility, but what a watch. And definitely one of the coolest Speedmasters that we've ever had in stock. If you want to call us up, see if we've got it, or you can search on our website under Tintin, and you'll be able to see whether we've got it. You'll be able to see the close-up pictures of this watch. Even once it's sold, those pictures will stay up, and you'll be able to enjoy that. But give us a call here at SwissWatchExpo. We are Speedmaster nuts, and we would love to talk all things Speedmaster with you. And click the bell, like, and subscribe, and be notified when we post more content like this.